Hot Taco Web is back on A-Day Eve, baby. So fired up, man. That kind of kicks off summer workouts. It kicks off, basically, in my mind, the season. And these are all the things that I'm going to try to look for during the A-Day game. Now, I can't be there due to work has me living in northern Montana currently at the moment. And it's not televised, which really stinks. So hopefully maybe the sports department is going to tape it and put it on the YouTubes later, and I can check it out. Or I'll just read the play-by-play on AL.com, hopefully. But these are all the things that I'm looking for. Or top 7 things that I think Bama fans need to pay attention to for A-Day. Number 1, we've been harping on it all spring and all offseason, Bama's offensive line, blocking schemes, the lineups. We've already gone over lineups what we think is first string and second string. We're going to need to see that. We're going to need to see that there's a push. They can block well. They can pass block and run block as well to get room for the running backs, because when you're 120th out of 134 teams, yeah, that's got to change. Like I said, we got rid of Kapovic. We got Coach Clem in there. We can't expect miracles on the first year. All these guys haven't played together. Only one returning starter in Michael Carroll, as we've harped on forever. So that's what I'm looking on. I'm looking on consistency. I'm looking at members on that offensive line knowing who their blocking assignment is. When they sit there and do a stunt and they roll, do they know who they have to block? I'm also looking for blocking from the running back. I'm looking for the running back to know what gap he's got to block, or the blitzing linebacker or a blitzing safety or a defensive end that snuck up and doing a delayed blitz. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for consistency. I'm looking for blocking, pass coverage, blocks. I'm looking for guys who can hold a block as well as open a hole. So that's what we're looking at. That's number 1. Number 2, number 1's got to be settled for number 2, which is we're going to be looking at Keelan Russell and Austin Mack. Who's more efficient? Who's converting more third downs? Who's better when the pocket breaks down? All these things, right? We're going to be looking for a guy maybe at the end of the game to lead on 1 or 2 game-winning drives. One guy who takes command better. Now, we've talked to endless death about Austin Mack's been there with DeBoer for 4 years. He still hadn't cracked the starting lineup. That's a huge thing. We're also looking at Keelan Russell. Newer guy, hasn't been in the system. Highly touted guy coming out of high school. A lot quicker. Austin Mack is, he's more of a Carson Beck, a statue, so he can't run. He can't make a lot of things happen as a whole, but he is a big guy. Keelan Russell's a little bit smaller, but he's got wheels. He can fly. They were not having great practices the last scrimmage they had, but we're looking for that gentleman, whoever that may be, to try to separate themselves, not maybe win the game, like I said, this week at A-Day, but show us something. Show us the it factor. Show us the command of the huddle. Show us what you can do when the huddle breaks down. Give us a game-winning drive. Command your guys. Pull the best out of those guys. That's the number 2. The number 3 thing is the wide receiver room. This is big. I think we all know that Coleman Williams is going to have a big year. I think we know he's proven he's going to be good. He's going to be way better than his sophomore slump. We know that Brooks is going to be really good. I think we know he's the number 2 guy. I think that's kind of, remains to be seen. Like I said, we've got the departure of Isaiah Horton. He was big. He was a guy down the stretch that was that big 6'4+ big body guy in the end zone. Now we're looking to, and our spies have been saying that Cedarius Morgan has been a menace. They said Derek Meadows has been coming on strong and a really consistent guy. Those same comments were moved over to Noah Rogers as well, the transfer, saying that he was very consistent, very good on third down. So with that, we also want to see not just Latsir Brooks and Coleman Williams. Can we get a third guy? Can we get a third or maybe even a 4th guy who can really come up big week in and week out, who can really take pressure off those 2 starting guys, who can really move the pile? Now, I said, Derek Meadows was highly recruited. Cedarius Morgan was highly recruited. Noah Rogers was a pretty darn big recruit. So we need to see something out of those 3 young men, and I definitely expect more out of Rogers and Meadows because they're older. They've been playing longer than Cedarius Morgan. But out of those 3, can we get a home run? Can we get a guy that can really complement Coleman Williams and complement Lotsu Brooks. That's a big thing for me. That's number 3 on the list for me. Number 4, tied in. Can they separate themselves? Josh Cuevas, anybody? Do we have one out there around? That's one thing that I'm going to be looking for. Who's that guy? Now, all the tight ends, we got about 40 on the, I'm being facetious, but we have a lot of tight ends. We got to have better blocking. We got to have guys that lock down that end when we run, right, for the run blocking. We got to have some tight ends that can block a little bit better on those defensive ends. But I want to find a guy who can give us what Josh Cuevas gets us, who can be a big safety valve on 3rd down and maybe 4th and 1 if we got to have it. If we can't run, God forbid, this year on 4th and 1, who's that tight end? Somebody's got to separate themselves. Me, from my spies, have been saying that Josh Ford has been really good. Now, with that, I'd love to have another guy, whether it be Lewis, whether it be Pritchett. Now, we saw many times last year that Pritchett was open in games he played when Cuevas was hurt. But he had bricks for hands. He was dropping everything. I mean, unless it stuck in his face mask, he was dropping it. But this year is a new year, 2026, baby. So can we find that guy? Now, we feel like from our spies and our contacts, Ford is pretty darn good, and he's looking to kind of shore that up. Who can complement him? Who can be that Josh Cuevas this year? Possibly, can we find 2 of them? That's big. Also, middle linebacker. Now, we know, and we've heard great things from Caleb DeBoer about Caleb Woodson out of Virginia Tech. We know that. But who is that other guy? Who's going to step up? You know, we have a myriad of guys, like I said, and that's what we need to find. Like, who is the consistent guys? Who's getting pressure? Who's reading the offenses quicker? Who's lining the guys up? Who's that field general at middle linebacker? That's who we need to have. We need to have another guy that can do these things. Now, we know that some of the guys came in from South Carolina. Yumi Zola, I can't say that gentleman's name. I'm just going to call him Player U. We've heard great things about him. We've heard, obviously good things about Caleb Woodson. We know what Yanze Pierre can do. He's that disrupting factor. Can we have another one of those guys? That's what I'm looking for besides Caleb Woodson. Who are guys that can step in and do what they got to do at middle linebacker? Because that's definitely got to improve for us. One of the second to last ones, I think, that nobody's really talking about, and a lot of people haven't talked about in this spring and going into the summer, is the defensive line, that lineup, okay? We got to be better than we were last year. That's a fact. To win games, we got to have a better defensive line. I think some of that happened when we brought in the Oklahoma coach to come on over and help us out. Some pedigree, some guys who have been around one of the best defensive lines in the country at Oklahoma. He hopefully brings that over to Bama a little bit, and let's bring it up. But I'm looking at who are the guys that are getting more play time? Who are the disruptors? Who are the guys that are just clogging holes? That's what we got to find out. That's what we got to look at for consistency. Last but not least is, and we've already talked about this a little bit, running backs. Now, we know that Hill's probably going to be starter. That's a fact. Everybody's already anointed E.J. Correll, the highly touted 5-star running back freshman, but he hasn't played much. He's got that soft tissue injury and things are going on. We won't see him. Another guy everybody's been talking about, especially DeBoer, Trayshawn Brown. 3-star, nobody was looking at Trayshawn Brown. Now, this young man, that DeBoer said it, he's been a really consistent guy on 4th and 1, 3rd and 1, a guy that's moving the pile, a guy that's running angry, a guy that's running hard. That guy, I think that spot right there is going to be contested. You got A.K. Deer, he's a big recruit, I think him and Brown are going to duel that 3rd spot out. Now, I'm not even to comment that E.J. Crowell is going to, take that second back slot, because you also got Riley. He's been making a run for it. Trayshawn Brown's been mentioned multiple times by DeBoer. A.K. Deer's probably feeling slighted right now. So that's another guy. So we've got these moving parts we got to figure out. I'm not so worried about the 7th issue in this whole thing. Because running backs will take care of themselves. We got a room full of those young men. That's fine. All the other top 6, that's what I'm going to be keying in on and reading about hopefully tomorrow. I mean, I wish somebody would just take a VHS video camera and just let's go ahead and stream this thing I'd love to see it. I am more than a lot of previous years. I'm really interested to see A Day. I wish I could go, but that's my 7 top things I think we should all be looking at. I'm gonna be looking at tomorrow and the stats and everything I can pull up about it, and hopefully do a video for you guys. But that's my 7 keys to this thing. To especially that'll lead us into next year, what we can expect, what kind of those topics are what kind of schemes we can run, whether it be offense or defense or run blocking or pass blocking, or what kind of schemes we can throw at wide receiver, or what kind of schemes we can run on defense because we have good or bad linebacker play or great or okay defensive line play. These are all things we're going to be looking at. So these are things that I think are going to be crucial into tomorrow. Anyway, that was a quick video. Hopefully I'll have a video for tomorrow night, and hopefully I can get a guest on to break it down. But anyway, Tide Talker Web is out.